Welcome to today's edition of Unleashing Your Full Potential. I am very blessed today to have somebody from Dubai, somebody that has been in business on her own, and her name is Janine Lingenfelder. Hello, Janine, and welcome.
Hi, Doc, and thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. How are you today?
Ah, fantastic. Thank you. It's actually so nice to catch up with you on a weekly basis when we add value to other people with the circle. I really think is one of the greatest inventions of getting people to talk to each other. And that's one of the reasons why you and I connected. And I thought, you know what? I think here's an individual who can add value to the people that normally go to my YouTube channel. For those on our YouTube channel, obviously we'll give Janine's information at the end so that you can also contact her and establish that connection and that relationship. But for you, Janine, is all about sales. I see behind you Jelani Sales, your trusted sales mentor and accountability partner. So, what made you choose the sales theme? I'm dying to know.
A lot of people ask me something similar, but honestly, it was frustration as well as it chose me. I've always been a people's person, and sales become the natural expression of my love for truly solving problems and also creating meaningful conversations. But I would say the real reason I leaned into sales as a theme is because I knew that there's a better way of doing things, not become pushy, to make it feel more natural and more empowering and actually adding more value. And Jelani actually means mighty or strong in Swahili.
Wow.
And for me, I want my clients to feel mighty in their message and really confident in their own sales process.
Well,
And
if
that's what makes me feel so excited about sales, because it's just that amazing feeling of I'm confident enough to offer my services or products to the world.
well, then, seeing that you've chosen Swahili, I'm going to guess that you're an ex-South African. Is that, am I right in saying that?
You are 100% correct. Yes, South Africa will always be my home. I've only recently moved to Dubai 2023. And yeah, it's been an amazing journey so far.
And family, or is it just Janine? Tell us about your family.
No, definitely family, definitely family.
Yeah.
I'm a wife and a mother, and one of the reasons we moved to Dubai is my husband got a position in his current company that he had was working for in South Africa, and that's why we moved to Dubai. We took the opportunity. You know what? It's all about the action, and if you don't try, you failed.
Absolutely. And you know what is it all about failing? When you fail, fail forward. Just take some ground when you fail.
100%.
Absolutely. Okay. So if you just look at your own background, how does that tie back into sales? Were you always the salesy kind of person? Did you have a little entrepreneur shop running at school that you had product for sale or what have you? I don't know. What tell us about the early years of Janine.
Oh, wow. So I actually started working and doing sales when I was 13 outside our home in the garage, selling Tupperware. I think most people can relate to this, selling Tupperware, making sure that people understand the need for Tupperware. And then, of course, also honey accessories, where you're selling shoes, jewelry, handbags, etc. And I've got 23 years of sales experience across various industries, as well as countries and cultures. But from working in a structured corporate sales environment, running multiple businesses, I've experienced the highs, the rejections, the late night follow ups, how to do certain things, how to present. So I know when people say that they're struggling with sales because I was in it. I had to build my own database. I had to phone my own clients. I had to knock on doors. Whether the people said yes or no, I had to still do it. Why? Because the sales manager wants figures. And that journey gave me a deep understanding of the sales psychology, because mindset is the most important thing when it comes to sales.
No,
But
absolutely.
also,
Yeah,
yeah, so
continue. Continue.
what showed me that through my journey, that sales isn't just, it's not about selling, it's about the people, it's about building trust. And most importantly, as well, it's about timing. And that's the one thing most people struggle with is I want to sell it now, and the client needs to say yes. And it's not always the case. So my background really ties well within the way I work and do mentoring with my clients to really build a sustainable yet human focused sales system.
Well, if sales is in your blood, the sales in your blood. You made me take my mind way back to selling guava rolls at school and helping my mother sell her Tupperware, and then I sold her weight loss product, and then I sold newspapers. But you know what? I think there's just a sense in certain individuals of progress. Why just sit and wait for life to come to you? Rather go at life and do your best to make a difference. And I can see that we have a lot in common in terms of let's make it happen. Because let's face it, sales takes action. It just doesn't flow naturally to you. You have to do something about it. And as you say, um, the rejection that's so much part of it. But yeah,
Yes,
often, as you said, that rejection is purely because of timing. The person just did not have the money at the time. But
correct.
as you said, build trust, build the relationship, and voila. When the time is right, that very same person will know where to go because they were treated not as a shop that you were just shopping from, but as a person with an identity and a person who wanted to be related to. Isn't that true?
100% true. I couldn't agree with you more there. And it's not rejection, it's just a stepping stone.
That's it. So, who was your influence when it comes to the realm of sales? Surely there must have been somebody that really inspired you, or maybe even today, still, two or three people that inspire you.
There's actually so many, but if I have to select one person, it would really be my mom. She's a firecracker. She is such an amazing person, and her energy is just awesome. And she's always been a natural seller. And she doesn't come across pushy, or she really knew how to connect with people. And she was like a mentor with me when I was very young. And she can still sell anything, not because she was or she's aggressive, but because she believes in what she offers and she makes people see it and feel it. So she's taking storytelling into a different level. My mom is over 80, 83. So she's just an absolute love of my life. And later in life, I was also influenced by leaders who embraced coaching and mentoring as part of sales. And through my mom and these mentors and coaches, they taught me that selling is serving. And I love
Oh,
that
hold on.
saying
Say
because
that very slowly. That is the most beautiful statement I've heard in a long time. Say it again.
selling is serving.
Wow.
And if I know it's such a beautiful, I actually have goosebumps because it's such a beautiful thing. And that principle is something that I live and breathe every single day at Jelani Sales.
Wow. Let's take that into personhood. I mean, you talk about the power through Jelani. Personhood is how you present yourself. And if you come across and you truly want to add value through that serving attitude, uh, let's face it, you're actually selling yourself first. And it's that connection because of you serving and having the attitude of serving. I think that is the most powerful thing I've heard in a long time.
It's all about, you know what, that's the thing. As humans, we are built for relationships. So, relationship first, build around helping people solve problems with confidence and authenticity. The rest will follow. There's no tricks, there's no trick. Just be authentically you and build the relationships and trust, and all those things will fall into place.
Well, I came through a retail background myself, and I remember my boss saying to me, sales solves everything. And I said to him, what does that mean? He says, wait, you'll see. So when we went through a period where the sales were really down and we couldn't meet the previous year's figures, all of a sudden we went into a cost-cutting exercise and there was so much pressure. Boy, I hated it. And then the market turned and we took off and we did well again. And he said, you see, sales solves everything because while you're making sales, nobody checks your bottom line, nobody checks your. It's just a different aspect because when you're successful, let it run. It's like the bull run, this, in Spain. Let them run, man. They know where they're going to, and sales solves everything. And but
Exactly.
yes, but sometimes you do have a product and you know the client needs it, but the client doesn't know yet that they require that skill or that the product can be of a benefit to them. So, how do you then slowly approach that to build that trust? Because I hear trust is one of your key pegs in the ground.
100%. And it's as I mentioned, relationship first. If you build around solving people's problems, the connection will happen, the clarity will come automatically, and then the consistency happens. Because as much as you start the conversation and you see that you can help that person, and that person is actually coming towards you with saying yes,
Yeah.
that creates that connection, that clarity. And the more you're going to get it, the more consistent you're going to be. Why? Because it fuels your inner fire as well as your clients.
And then obviously, you know how to basically, can I say, merge the two. You've got the person who you've grown the relationship with, and then you've got the product. And then you match whether there's a need for that. Let's talk about the negative cycle that sometimes salespeople will actually force people to buy something that they do not want and they do not need, and therefore they start abhorring sales and salespeople. I mean, if you just think about that persistent second-hand car salesman, he knows the thing. When you open the hood, there's hardly an engine in there, but he's hunting you down because he senses that you had enough cash flow to buy that vehicle, and he will push until you buy it. And later on, you so regret it. Let's talk about that. When people are disappointed, feeling that they were pushed into a corner and they bought and they actually weren't ready to buy. Talk to me about that.
I think if as soon as you take your sales to feel natural rather than forced,
Yeah.
everything once again comes into place by shifting your focus from closing to connecting. So what I do with it within Jelani Sales is we reframe sales into solution sharing. When you believe in what you offer, you don't have to convince anyone. You just need to invite them into the transformation journey that you're going to take them on.
Well, you've just hit the nail on the head for me, and that is that closing through connecting. Because obviously, I've always wondered why is it? Because we've been in a few businesses that I sort of seem to be better at the closing side, and that is why because I know how to connect with people through who they are. Now, I know that both
Mm,
you and I are avid believers in the DISC behavioral style system. That there are four different
mm,
behavioral types, and that you actually speak to each person in a different way. And now I know why.
yes.
It's the art of connecting. Because you know that with the driver, you need to be a little bit forceful and you need to challenge them out there because they're results driven. I'm not going to go through the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's the principle I'm talking about that because of who we are. Because with the disc
Mm,
analysis, we have the four different behavioral types. And if you know how to connect with them through that, then
yes.
closing the sale seems to be a bit of par for the course. It now becomes a natural outflow of what you were doing. Would you agree with me?
100%. It's like a habit. In anything in life, the more we're going to do something, the better we're going to get at it. The same with people who are struggling that doesn't have enough confidence to speak to people. The more you're going to be doing it, the more confident you're going to get, and the more people you're going to be able to actually change lives. So if the one thing that I can take that I can actually teach the listeners here is to start small but make it a daily habit to connect with at least one person, just one person a week, one person a day, whichever fits within your sales process, but make it happen because that's where the magic happens.
But that also now takes it next level, where that one person might have to make that one call to the person they haven't spoken to for 20 years. Why? Because maybe there's hurt, maybe there's anger, and you know what? Maybe the scenario calls for that person to say, it's time to just pick up the phone to that one person and to mend that relationship. Because broken relationships are not worth it. I know that there was one person in my life, it took us 2.5 years before we had the breakthrough, but we said we are not going to give up because
Mm,
that relationship is worth it. But it took effort. It took strategic planning and it took being sensitive to know when to stay away and when not to say anything, when not to put pressure,
mm,
and then naturally just to start pursuing that. Now, somehow,
true.
that to me is a picture of true sales. Think about it. You know that the person's going to need, there's a product that they require, but it might take 2 years before they acquire the item because at the time they were not financially fluid. At the time they were just not in their means. But when the timing then was right, so now it comes back to timing. The timing is right.
Yeah.
And now that very item that they could not afford before now has come into full picture and now actually becomes accessible because the timing has favored the situation. So this is a good time for everything. And of course, we all want everything yesterday, but it doesn't work that way. I mean, I've uh, just talk about things that we desire. There's a difference between desire and needing something. I mean, I've always desired to drive a fancy sports car until one day somebody says to me, but it somehow doesn't gel because you like serving and helping people. So you really want to take all that money away and put it just in a sports car that your current vehicle can get you from A to B, no problem. It just doesn't look and sound the same. And I had to take a hard look in
Yes.
terms of motive. Motive matters most because we can sell people anything, but do they really need it? So when you now
That's
link
it.
mentorship, and this is, you said, sales mentor, you're not a mentor. Now, when you look at people in terms of sometimes they desire to buy something, as your mentorship kicks in, surely you'll be honest enough to tell them, maybe that is premature. Talk to us about that process of you standing in the gap and being tough enough to love them enough to say, let me mentor you into without using the word mentor, but I don't think your time is right. Talk to us.
You know what? You've touched on so many points, and my mind is going like fireworks at the moment. But just to go back a little bit with one of the things you've mentioned is, when people are not following up. And I think that's the one thing that most people are struggling with because they're scared of rejection. And people need to understand that it's nothing personal. It's feedback. It's not failure.
Yeah.
And we've heard this saying where every no is closer to the next yes. And it's true. You talked about 2 years down the line and you get a sale. I did exactly that. When I was in corporate, I had to build my own database. And I just want to share a little story quickly. I had to build my own database and I wanted to sign one of the biggest deals in my career. And I saw the client for the first time. They said, thank you so much, but they've already got a marketing person, but they appreciate me coming out. So what happened? I didn't stop. I still went there. They had like a little coffee shop where I was able to go and sit and have a coffee and just look at their business and look at the customers coming in, etc. Now I'm telling you, over 9 months later, the client said to me every day they see, or every month they see me because I went once a month. And every time the guy sees me, he says, Janine, I don't need your services. I'm like, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just having a coffee and enjoying myself. He says, okay, not a problem. But through that consistency, we built the relationship when we started talking about his dog and his wife and his kids and blah, blah, and all those things. And then 9 months later, he phoned me and said, Janine, we need your services. Can you please come and see us?
Fantastic.
So it's not always about your selling time. It's the buying time that's most important. And if you can have that mind shift and mindset that when I phone, it's not always my selling time, it's the buying time of the client that is so important. So remove the emotion and it really puts you back in control when it's just the right time for now. That's what's important.
I must say what I
That's
respect is the
what's
fact
important.
that you went back saying, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to continue building our relationship. I bet you the first time he must have thought, what's really behind this? But when he did it
Yeah.
consistently, a second and a third time, it's just because you really enjoyed being with the person and adding value,
Yes.
be it finding out about is your dog sick and, how can I help you? Just talk about how you treat the dog, etc. But you're quite right. People buy from people. How powerful is that?
Yes.
People
100%.
buy from people.
100. Yeah,
Um,
it's
Now,
so
obviously,
true.
now with sales, I just want to swing the parachute a little bit to another direction. Online sales has now started taking sales away from retail stores. Now, I'm an ex-retailer, and I mean, we did everything to get the customer into the store. But now I find that it's so convenient that now, since we've had artificial intelligence, since we've had online sales, people don't mind searching on the web and buying online, which means it looks like about 15%, I'm going to guess, of sales currently has now shifted to online. So, how does that influence your sales methodology or your thinking? Talk to me about that.
Comes back to mindset. If you believe sales in any aspect, whether it's online or in person, if you think it's scary, you'll avoid it. If you believe sales is helping you, you will lean into it. So I help for my people, for my clients, not my people, that sounds very scary. For my clients, I help them to upgrade their inner dialogue. So your outer actions aligns, whether you are online or in person. So the more confident you are in your sales, it starts with your thoughts. So if you can identify what value you are adding, whether you are online or in person, and obviously there's a difference as well, having
Yeah.
an online product and an in-person. So identify those things and make sure that you shine those things through. And that's where the mindset comes in. So if you focus on talking too much and not listening, that's where the real magic happens in any event, is when you're asking the right questions. And
Well,
zip it. Keep quiet and just tune in.
we've often heard the saying, he who speaks first loses. Isn't that true? Because you need to position and then you need to shut up because the client needs
That's it.
time to work through it. And it's like a value proposition. Is it worth my while? And then only can they make
Yes.
a decision. But if you keep on talking, you're actually interrupting that thought process. And although they had a positive mindset and the mind's in the right place, you basically
Mm,
sending a different frequency at the time when they're trying to think. And you're actually messing up the sale purely because of blah, 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 blah. And I think you're so
100%.
right. But I want to tell you something came out of your mouth naturally, and I'm going to ask you to coin it. I think when you speak about my people, you're actually correct. Because for you, it's not about clients. For you, it's about your people. And I think you naturally, they say where the heart is full, the mouth just spills over. I think that's one of your
Mm,
strengths, Janine. I'm going to give that to you and say, I am highly impressed because your people are the people that you love, you want to serve, and you know that Jelani, which is the power that's in the sales, is an opportunity to add value to their life through the art of connecting and building relationships. I can tell you one thing, I've been highly inspired today in terms of speaking to you and finding out that there's a different way to do sales. And I could commit to you, I'll show you. I wrote it down here where it actually says closing through connecting. I couldn't put my finger on it. What am I doing that is working every single time? And you help me understand it. That actually it's my art of connecting with the right person through who they are that helps me close the sale because I first connect with that person and then the sale goes down. So I want to thank you
yeah.
so much for having added immense value to people's lives today, my life in particular as well. And the question must be, how do we get hold of Janine? We want to have this cup of coffee virtually with her, like I've been having coffee with you this morning, and say, how do we get hold of you? How can they contact you, Janine?
I would say the best thing, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So my LinkedIn profile would be the best platform to connect with me. And as you've mentioned, Doc, and you're going to put the information in the bio of the YouTube. So connect with me there. Go look at my stuff, see if it resonates with you. And if you feel anything, connect with me and let's have a conversation. Let's just have a chat. And as I always say, rather done than perfect.
Happy, happy, happy to do that. So, do we find you on LinkedIn via Jelani Sales or via Janine Lingenfelder? Just be straight.
Because I am the brand, it will be Janine Lingenfelder, Sales Mentor.
I love it. Well, Janine, I want to thank you so much for today. And I want you to think just for 1 second, become quiet, and then give whoever's listening to you that one thing that you would like them to know about you and about sales. We're listening.
It's about confidence, structure, consistency, and momentum. If you don't take action, nothing will happen. Stay positive and never give up.
Well, there you have it. That's Janine Lingenfelder, all the way from Dubai, adding immense value globally today. And if you want to connect with her, connect on the link and make sure you have that virtual cup of coffee with her. Or if you're in Dubai, catch her in one of those beautiful malls, and she would love to meet up with you. Janine, thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks to you. Appreciate.